Alright, so I'm going to be doing a review of Godzilla, Here There Be Dragons. So, this was part of the new IDW line to do, new limited series from IDW. Basically, we have the MonsterVerse comics that focus more on, well, the MonsterVerse, and these focus more on Toho version of Godzilla. That's what IDW and I guess Legendary Comics have kind of come to that agreement. So that's kind of the thing right now. Yeah. So what is this comic about? Well, first off, it was written by Frank Terreri, Frank Terreri's a journeyman in comics. Like, it's been a long time since he's done like an ongoing comic, and he's always been like a hired gun journeyman, doing like a lot of miniseries and a lot of like tie-ins for events. And yeah, so it's been a while since he's done like and again, it's another miniseries, but it's been a while since he's done he's done something. I think before this he did a Absolute Carnage tie-in, and the moment I found out Frank Terreri was in here, I was like, oh hey, I know him. I've actually met him at MegaCon. He was a very nice guy. He was actually happy that someone showed up at his booth, so that was pretty neat. But yeah, the artwork is done by Inkai Miranda. Hope I'm saying that name right. And yeah, so this is basically as you can see from the cover, it's Godzilla versus pirates. I talked about this comic before, where I was like, yeah, I'm excited at this new setting, and it looks fun. It is fun. Like I said, like it looked fun and all that. I wasn't expecting like how much fun this would be, because not only is this a Godzilla comic, this is also a Godzilla comic that also references other things. Let me explain. So the story is all told from a pirate who's trying to save himself from not getting hanged. And he basically explains that like he hung out with Sir Francis Drake, who was an actual person who served the British military. And basically, when he was part of Drake's crew, they battled the Spanish while they were searching for a place called Monster Island. And along the way, they encountered Godzilla. Now, the one thing I will say is that I've never been really a fan of having Godzilla with the MonsterVerse, even then, I was like, man, I wish they would talk more about, like, Godzilla's, like, connection to the atom bomb and to the atomic bomb and man's carelessness. But, you know, what's done is done. It's a different universe. And with the comics, especially IDW, like, Rage Against Time and whatnot, at least it's cool, like, to see Godzilla in all these different eras. But at the same time, I'm like, it kind of loses the message. But I have, this one follows that kind of thing. And while it does bother me, it is kind of a neat idea of doing these what-if stories. So, it's not real. At the end of the day, it's not canon. Who gives a fuck? So, Godzilla, Here Be Dragons, getting back on the point, is that Sir Francis Drake is looking for this lost gold, and he and the pursuing Spanish Armada, because remember, this is a time when the Spanish and the British were at war. This is like 1502, 1503. Like, we are just getting into the Renaissance. And essentially, Godzilla lives on Monster Island, and this pirate is also talking about not only like this lost gold of this captain who found Monster Island, but also this cult that worships and keeps the existence of kaiju, hidden. And that group is secret society is called the Sons of Giants. And that's actually a comic that's going to be coming out that's a sequel to this, explaining the history of the Sons of Giants. Now, what I really love about this comic is that it has a few surprises in here that actually made me very happy. One being that we have a kaiju in here that no one has cared about ever. Like, a kaiju that no one has literally cared about in the longest fucking time I have read comics. And that character is Udaka. For those who don't know who Udaka is literally a giant octopus who's shown up in... his first appearance was in Godzilla, King Kong vs. Godzilla. He also technically made a deleted appearance in... Frankenstein Conquers the World, and it's also said that Udaka was the same octopus that Gyra fought at the start of War of the Gargantuas. So, it's really cool, because no one is... Like, this is the first time I've ever, as far as I know, and actually, yeah, I've read vast majority of these IDW comics. Frank Terreri is the first fucking person to use, and they actually use the name Udaka. Udaka is in here. You think it's the Kraken, and he does get called the Kraken, but then there's like, nah, it's Udaka, totally different. So yeah, Udaka's here, and I was like, holy crap, that guy's here. Udaka's here. Yay! Now, he is kind of treated as like an endgame boss. Not really, but he does show up. But the other big villain in here is Ebera. Now, they do reference, Mothra, Rodan, and King Ghidorah. But it does make sense that you use Ebera. Because, like, he's a sea monster. Of course you're going to use, like, sea monster-esque creatures to fight. And it's kind of cool. Like, Ebera, no one loves Ebera. Let's be real. Like, no one loves Ebera, but it's kind of, but it is fun to see him like skitter around and actually be a threat to Godzilla. And the fight between him, Godzilla, and Udaka, there's a three-way fight between the three of them. It's actually kind of fun. So yeah, actually making Ebera like a vital point of this character is really neat. The other thing is, too, that this is a very unique monster island. There's giant sea turtles, giant flesh-eating bats. It actually reminds me a lot of The Mysterious Island and feels like a Ray Harryhausen movie. Like, it really does feel like Terreri took a lot of inspiration from a Ray Harryhausen movie, and it feels fun. Like, that's the big thing with this comic, is that it's Godzilla fighting pirates, dude. You don't have, like... And the other thing, and I didn't mention this earlier, but it looks like Godzilla is kind of shrunk down a bit. Like, he's not like this massive, oversized monster. He actually feels more size-wise compared to mine, and this includes Udaka and Ebera too, where they all feel like they're all at the same size like Godzilla from, -1 Goji. So it actually has, like, they kind of shrunk him down a bit to make him fit more with this world, and kind of playing to that, like I said, Ray Harryhausen-esque kind of adventure story. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. I am very happy I got this book. It's a great, like, it's Godzilla fighting pirates, and it's actually for 5 issues, it's well-paced. I have a problem with miniseries that they don't feel properly paced, but here it's like, yeah. It also, I really am curious to read Sons of Giants when it comes out in trade, because I want to know more about, like, this secret society of kaiju worshippers. Because you would have to imagine, and this is something, like, I'm happy that they're doing finally, is that you would have to imagine that, like, if kaiju existed as long as they have, yeah, they would be worshipped as gods. So, and they've only alluded to it in a few times, even in the movies of, the Monsterverse. I don't think they ever mentioned the Toho universe, but a few times in IDW books, where they're like, yeah, they were worshipped as gods. Here, we're actually going to explore that in the next book. So yeah, do I recommend Godzilla, Here There Be Dragons? Absolutely, go check this book out. It just came out last week, so I highly recommend you guys checking out this book. But yeah, so you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys, if you've read it, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of it. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.